Pierwszy raz, kiedy byłaś w Warszawie?
Pierwszy raz, a zaraz byłam jakoś po wojnie. Ta kupa gruzów. Ogromna kupa gruzów, że to była.
When German came, I was 8, maybe 9 years old. I remember that I graduated the elementary class and I started to write the first letters of the alphabet. Actually, it was a surprise for me, and I was forced to be immersed in a totally different world. What I had to do was to carry the heavy buckets in wooden slippers throughout the snow to feed the animals 3 times a day. I remember that I tried to do some puppets from the hay or sticks that I found in the forest. We lived next to the forest, so it was an attractive place, and some of the Germans took the flats they liked. I remember that I wanted to divide the world into black and white because it was easier to think in these categories. And what I can remember that among Germans there were the people who were good and evil, as everywhere.
I was a combat pilot in the German called Luftwaffe. I loved to fly and was young and excited. I didn't have to fight against Allied pilots because I was still in training. I wanted to fight for my country because I was convinced of my task, even if I nowadays know that the Nazi system was a total fail. In March 1945 there was this order. A man came into our room and told us that we would have to give our life for the Third Reich in a suicide mission. That we would have to crash with our aircrafts in a bridge over the River Rhine. Many of my friends felt honored. I knew the war was lost. I knew there will be no chance for victory. And I was 19 years old and I didn't want to die. So I decided to desert from the German army. But I got caught by an SS unit, was imprisoned and was sentenced to death. I was captured in a house with a friend of mine, waiting for our executions. Suddenly, there was this terrible noise, and then I fell down on the floor. An Allied aircraft dropped a bomb on the building that captured us, and there was a giant hole in the wall afterwards. So we fled this place, and we were hiding in the forests, while going in a sudden direction to our home. The day we reached our families was the 8th of May.
I was 17 years old. I lived in Opatów. This is a small town near Kielce. I worked for a German office as a secretary, and I remember the moment of driving away the Jewish residents out of town of Opatów, and I saw my neighbor, an old lady who couldn't walk anymore, and I remember she fell, and the German soldier shot her just like that.
In 1939 I was 15 and my father decided to send me to Israel to a youth camp to work in a kibbutz. I arrived to Haifa by ship and then by a big truck they took me to kibbutz Yagur. I worked all day digging wells. It was hard work. I wasn't used to hard work. I wasn't used to the food or to the heat. I suffered a lot. I was a spoiled little boy, the youngest among 6 brothers and sisters, and I wrote a lot of letters to home that I want to come back. My father, a strict Zionist, convinced me to stay in Israel, in Palestine, in the days. He said, give it another chance, and I gave few more months, and then another few more months, and another few more months. Then 1 month, the letters stopped coming from Poland, and the war started. Years after that, I found out that my family's town in Poland, Pinsk, was burned to ashes by the Nazis. All my family was taken to the forest. They were commanded to dig holes, and then they shot them to the last one. Everybody died. I was 15 and I left alone in war.
At the end of the war, my family and me lived in Western Germany, near the Ardennes. We had a small farm and with a few cows. And when the Allied came, we were in constant fear of losing the farm and our belongings. And there was one story I remember. There was one day I was near an American camp, and I found some boots and took them with me. When I came home to my family, we realized in what danger I was at that moment. And I was really afraid of getting punished for this and maybe getting killed for taking the boots. And then, yeah, indeed, the Americans found me and found the boots. And instead of getting killed, the American soldier gave me some chocolate and demanded his boots back.
I was born in Gorlitz, in Poland, in 1916. I got an education, religious education, but so professional education. I was trained to be a tailor. I had 3 sisters and 1 brother, Yehuda, who is very important in my story. And I was sort of an orphan from a young age because my father passed away when he was young after he came back after being occupied during World War I. So my mother had a lot of influence and she worked really hard to support the family and to gather us all. I was part of the youth movement Shomer HaTzair, and when the war broke, my mother urged me and my brother Yehuda to fly to the east, to flee to the east, because she believed that in her and in my sister the Germans won't hurt because they are women. We tried to advance pretty quick, but all the rails already been bombed, so we walked for a really long time with a lot of other people with us. And we walk mainly at night because during all the day there were a lot of bombings and things. After some time the Germans got close, so we decided to get back to our hometown and to get back to our family, and we hid in our house most of the time. But when the German was really close to the city again, my mother then again urged us to leave, only me and Yehuda, because then again she believed that in the women the Germans won't hurt at all. We walked east again, this time with another 8 men from our town, with nothing with us, and we were in this, most of the time, this Siberia area and in Russia. And I work as a tailor, but also in the mines and in cutting trees. It was very hard condition, but this is the way I spent most of the years of the war. After the war ended, I came back with Yehuda to our hometown to find out that no one else from my family survived. And 2 years later, I managed to illegally trying to go to Israel. I was in the Exodus ship. They deported me to Germany, and then after some months I got back to Israel and I lived in a kibbutz.
דוב גודינר, סבא שלי.
Udo Weiland, mein Großvater.
Irena Marciniak, moja babcia.
ריטר אביר, סבא שלי.
Johann Schröder, mein Großvater.
Kazimiera Czerwińska, moja babcia.
Siekiera, motyka, piłka, graca, niech pan głowy nie zawraca.